What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So as you can tell by the video title, today's one is very different than your average video that we would do. Now, it's a response to what Miller has brought up. Now, for some weird reason, over the last 24 hours, people seem to be messaging me about what Miller has been saying, and well, a lot of people are speculating that there is bad blood between us. Now, just to reconfirm, there is absolutely no bad blood between me and Miller. Nobody hates each other as far as I'm aware, and I have actually been in contact with him over the situation, and that is about the first leak that we had yesterday that wasn't actually from Miller. Now, to bring you up to date, it was a ton of files. We're talking like around 900 notes, right, that was sent to me by a really cool dude who's in the community. Now again, I don't know how these data mining people go ahead and do this stuff, but they do, and well, sometimes things can go, I guess, south, right? So hey, it's one of those videos where I'm going to break down a lot of things, so a like is appreciated, and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. But let's dive into this. So to begin with, what was stated in yesterday's video was of course information regarding Wakanda in general, also information regarding Claw, and also Black Panther's skills, right? Quote unquote skills. That's basically what we were told, and that's what we were going off on. So like I said, the person who actually sent all this stuff done a ton of data mining, and yes, these are actually in the game files. Now, Miller did do a tweet basically giving an update from my video saying that the skill names are actually from a Tomb Raider tutorial prompt image which was left over in the file system. Now, what's interesting is that this game was basically built on the Tomb Raider stuff, so although you might be thinking right now, well, how on earth does that happen, which is exactly what I was thinking, you can't actually tell that from the line of code, if that makes sense. Now, Miller did dig way deeper in this than I have, of course, because I just don't have access to be able to do that sort of stuff, or the person that data mined it, but Miller found out that it linked to the Tomb Raider stuff. Now, just to clarify, because a lot of people say I'm giving misinformation and it's all fake, you know, just all that kind of stuff. Now, to begin with, these things are inevitable. Sometimes you just can't figure that out. So for example, I can't show you the lines of code that was sent to me for legal reasons, but basically what was shown has absolutely no indication whatsoever to a Tomb Raider or any of the previous builds, I guess you could say, that this game was built upon. So it's really easy to overlook that. Now, second of all, I did speculate, and I clearly did say in yesterday's video that it's not 100% confirmed, but we were speculating on how cloning labs being delayed could actually turn into a raid. Now, well, should I say a full-scale raid? Now, Miller said that cloning labs are not being updated to a full-scale raid, but when I spoke to him and basically elaborated more on the codes that were given to me, he did actually confirm that yes, cloning lab is a raid, but not to the scale that we basically think, and also that it's decidedly much smaller than the Claw raid and is more of a, I guess you could say, and again going off what Miller said to me, akin to a dungeon in Destiny 2. Now again, I've never really played Destiny too heavily to really be able to reflect on that and compare it to things as such, but that's basically what it is. So although what I said yesterday about the clone lab being delayed to possibly become a raid with the Black Panther DLC, going on the basis of what the conversation I've had with Miller, yes, that has to get pushed aside. However, it technically is a raid, but is not, if that makes sense. So when I say raid, I'm talking quote-unquote raid, alright, but it's much smaller than the Claw raid, which is basically what we're expecting to be a whole lot bigger. Now, the Wakanda missions, which is still in prototype data by the way, and is very much subject to change, but yes, does include the cinematic that I did also mention in yesterday's video. So basically, the information that was put out there yesterday to really bring us up to speed where we stand with that. So the only things that I would deem that are now incorrect, and again, I have to keep saying this, but this is purely going off what was given to me, and I'm talking a lot of notes, a lot of codes, which you cannot basically tell what it links to, if that basically makes sense. So to summarize what went down. So it's basically the skills that I mentioned when we were talking things like animal instinct, all that kind of stuff. It's just based off the Tomb Raider skills. Cloning Labs is not a full-scale raid, but quote-unquote raid. Now the move that Claw uses, and if you didn't see yesterday's video, we were basically saying again from the code how it was basically a move that sort of does like an earthquake effect. Well, when I say I'm saying Miller is not really 100% convinced is a combat move. But again, neither of us can be right on this because there is no right or wrong answer to this. So at that moment in time, that's just purely speculation. But ultimately, where we stand with this is all the information that we do gather. Of course, me not being a data miner myself, nor encouraging that, and I have to make that very clear because I've personally been in contact with Square Enix in general over the last 5 years in general, so I know how they work in that sort of perspective, right? So I know what I'm technically allowed to show and what I'm not allowed to show. Nonetheless, they don't like leaks as a whole, but so I can't really go ahead and encourage that. But what I'm talking about here is you can't basically go off the lines of code that I was given. I can't look at that and be like, oh, okay, that's incorrect, or oh, that's basically linked to Tomb Raider or something completely different if it clearly has no indication to that whatsoever, like zilch, okay? It's just impossible. So what we have come to the conclusion of is any sort of leaks that we get from other data miners outside of Miller, we basically will try and get vetted by Miller. Now, although Miller is technically not the leak god, we know that he has a lot more access than some of the people we know to be able to dig deeper, which does question the fact of whether or not Miller is a dev or not. That's just that's another theory that I guess we'll have to find out one day. Is he an undercover dev? Nobody absolutely has any idea what is going down with Miller's power to access this stuff, but he's able to do it, and if we can get information vetted like that, then that's basically what we're going to go ahead and do in the future. So I just wanted to make this video to basically make things clear and to basically make everyone aware that hey, there's no bad blood, but also that yes, I was wrong on some things that I did say, but it's really hard for me to avoid because it's just inevitable, right? Even the person that sent me the codes has apologized because again, although some of the information is correct, some things you just simply can't link to something else. So it's an error on my end, but nonetheless, check out that video because it's an interesting sort of parts. Well, the parts that were incorrect are interesting for sure when it comes down to speculation, such as the moves from Claw, etc. But guys, that's going to wrap up this video here. As always, I hope you enjoyed, alright? I really hope you enjoyed. Let's see what goes down with the announcements for Hawkeye and Black Panther as a whole. Once we have some more solid information, it still will be great, but we still just got to cover the leaks that come our way. But again, all we can do is just get them vetted, I guess, time and time again, and then just go off your gut instinct as to whether or not it makes sense, which is exactly the actions I took with yesterday's one, except I didn't send it to Miller. That's the only difference. But nonetheless, it happens, it's done, and that's where we stand. But guys, I'll see you in the next one. Till then, have yourselves a ridiculously amazing day, and adios amigos.